Welcome to the Chris Hanna Show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Chris Hanna Show. I've been on this journey this year to connect with people who are business owners, who are entrepreneurs, who are really taking a really big bet on themselves to go all in on their strengths, go all in on their desires, and really find that fulfillment. And today I am so excited to talk with this guest. I'm going to say that this guest probably knows me longer than anyone else except my family. And you will know why in a minute here. So I'm talking today to Melissa Snowden. She's a wife. She's a mother of an 11-year-old son. She's a cystic fibrosis warrior. After becoming progressively ill in 2019, she had to leave her full-time job in sales and marketing. And she spent the next number of years really focusing on healing her emotional and her physical body. In doing so, she found that mindset, movement, and spirituality tools that could really help her and help her share her journey and building up the journey for other people as well. In 2022, Melissa became a spiritual life and mindset coach. She is determined to teach others skills to build a better life through various in-person and online courses and workshops that she has planned throughout the year ahead. Melissa, I'm excited to be here. The reason that we know each other is because we were neighbors.
Yeah.
We grew up in the same town. We are the same age, 6 months to the day apart. And we are, I'm so excited to be here today with you. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. I am super excited to be here too. It just kind of means a little more when you know somebody as well as we did in our life. We've been friends since we were 3. So, without giving our ages away, that's a long time.
I give my ages away all the time, but I will not. Then I will protect that for you on this episode. But I think that, this is really cool. Like I've really admired what you have gone through not only throughout your life, but what you've been really focusing on building out your business as well. So I would love to hear, and I think my audience would love to hear as well, like a little bit of kind of your background, your origin story to what was Melissa like at that, that 3-year-old all the way up till now in a short condensed way to ultimately starting to have your own business here.
Yeah. So we have talked about this before, another time when we didn't record that conversation, which would have been so awesome. But we talked about how the gifts that you come into this world with are really something that we should treasure and something that we should hone in on as adults. And so 3-year-old Melissa was always entertaining, was always, center of attention, was never shy in crowds and very prepared to speak, much like 3-year-old Chris Hanna was, right? So, and that's why we got along so well. That's why we grew up together and were friends forever, because we were so much alike. And I always wanted to be in theater. I always loved the stage, speaking, acting, singing, dancing. But with a disease such as cystic fibrosis, it made it difficult.
Can you explain, maybe for some of the listeners who don't know what cystic fibrosis is, just to kind of explain a little bit of that?
Absolutely. So cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease. I was born with it, but I was diagnosed at 8 weeks old. And it affects your lungs and your pancreas. So your lungs, back up. Essentially, your body doesn't produce enough salt content to help move mucus and help your organs function naturally. So in the lungs, there's sticky mucus that accumulates, and it breaks down the tissue, makes it hard to breathe, makes it hard to function in life over time. And then in the pancreas, your pancreas doesn't produce natural enzymes. So we have to take artificial enzymes. So it's a chronic illness. So over time, lifespan wasn't very long. I've been so incredibly lucky and grateful to be able to be almost 40. And
we're not revealing the age of anything.
Right. Yeah. and be able to have a really full life thanks to medical advancements and medications that have come out and different treatments that have come out throughout my lifetime. When I was born, my parents said, or were told, sorry, that I wouldn't get to high school. That like 16 was kind of the age of pushing it almost, right? So when I got to 16, I remember thinking like, holy cow, I'm here and I have a driver's license and I'm gonna plan a life. And I know a lot of people with cystic fibrosis don't necessarily have that outlook the way I did, but that, you know, my parents are really exceptional people and they instilled that in me, that despite what you're given in life, live fully and plan a full life. So Melissa, growing up, always did that. I always was really determined and driven to live and survive and have a college education. And one day I wanted to be a mother and get married. And one day I wanted to be somebody who was inspirational, influential, speaking.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean, you know, like just training, helping, serving people in a way that they can relate to.
You think so? A lot of that probably comes from being, obviously, you know, having this genetic condition, right? And really having to go through some ups and downs, some challenges, you know, as a kid, health wise, like that's hard. You know, that probably helps you become even stronger as an adult and as a mother and as a wife, like just the ability just to have that grit and be so resilient and
Yeah,
as I said, like a warrior, that's the spirit of you.
yeah, that's what I was just going to say. It really gives you resilience. It really gives you perspective too, right? Like when you're sick as a young child and in the hospital, you know, being poked and prodded with needles and checked by doctors and touched by everyone because they're trying to make sure you're okay. I mean, that's a really traumatic experience. And it may not be big T trauma, you know, like abuse, but it's small T trauma, maybe big T trauma in many ways. And having that within me really did give me resilience to be like, I always said, and I still always say, like, this isn't my life. This is part of my life. I understand that. This was not going to be my life. This is not how I want my everyday to be. Yeah. And you're right. It gives you that resilience. It gives you that grit. It gives you that fighting. I say that like fighting Irish because that's my background, spirit within me to survive. And then that's kind of how this life came to be, is I just really wanted to do that for other people.
So yeah, talk to me about that. Like so, you know, you go through, you know, high school, college, radio broadcasting, right? Was the education. And then what happened? What was the journey that started to happen to get you to where you are now?
Yeah. Oh, this is like probably a super long story. I'll try to dumb it down for time, but it's a really interesting one. So after college, I did do radio broadcasting and I moved out west to Alberta. I was there for 5 years. I spent time with somebody and we were very serious about each other and we were going to get married, and then it just didn't work out. It fell apart.
Life happens.
And if anyone's ever been through a really hard breakup where you think your world is going to be something and then it's not anymore, that is some severe grief that I don't wish on anyone.
Yeah.
And while I was living out west, I was my job was like sales and event planning for this recreational facility. And so being in a recreational facility and being someone that was sick and couldn't always physically move her body in ways she desired, I really loved that space because I really, really loved getting active and getting down to the gym and using the facility and doing yoga when I felt well enough. And And I'm always about like listening to the cues of the things that you really love to do, because they're usually the cues that let you know, like, you should really do this for a living.
The universe is starting to give you some signs, I guess, right?
Absolutely. So when that relationship fell apart, probably one of the, yes, definitely the lowest point in my entire life. So fell into a really deep depression because you're thinking like, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at relationships, my whole life has failed, I moved out west, and now what, right? Now what do I do? And I remember coming home for Christmas that year. We broke up just before Christmas, and my parents flew me home because they didn't want me to, be in that environment without some support. And I remember I cried myself to sleep, as we do when we go through breakups like that.
Going through trauma there, yep.
Yeah. And I remember saying out loud, what do I do now? What do I do now? And I fell asleep, and I woke up at some point in the night, and I kind of like, when you wake up and you roll over, it was just one of those moments where you just wake up briefly. But I woke up, I rolled over, and I heard a voice say, you're going to be fine. You're going to teach yoga.
Like just some voice you heard kind of in while you're sleeping or kind of part waking up. Okay.
Yeah. But the voice was, like, God, that sounds like me. But my God, I'm so like much older and wiser, and just this like,
it's like your voice kind of, but like an older version of you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh,
how you can hear yourself in your head talk.
Yeah.
It was me, but it wasn't me at that moment. I think it was probably me now, going back in time, being like, or however that happens, however that quantum realm works, which is so interesting, but so mind-boggling. So this voice said, you're going to be fine. You're going to teach yoga. I remember rolling over and being like, what the hell was that? What was that? And what are you talking about? I know nothing about yoga. I love taking classes, but I'm not going to go teach tomorrow. And so that kind of like dug into the cerebellum and just was there, right? Like, and I loved that lifestyle of yoga. I loved working out. I loved being at the gym. I loved, reading about meditation and stuff, but I wasn't really applying it in my life. So you shelf it, you kind of chalk that up to like, that was crazy. I'm just going to ignore that. And then I moved home about a year later, and I discovered I was pregnant, which I didn't know when I was coming home. So that was a real surprise and kind of scary, because for someone with cystic fibrosis, like when you expand in pregnancy, your lungs don't have enough oxygen anyway for a normal normal woman who's pregnant. And I was expanding. I didn't have a lot of lung function to begin with, so there was some worry that my body wasn't going to be okay for this pregnancy.
So it'd be considered like kind of like a high risk like pregnancy in a way, I guess, right?
It was absolutely a high risk pregnancy. I saw a high risk obstetrician, and but like that fighting grit, resilient spirit that I have within me was so determined to show everyone that I could do it, that I could have a baby. You're going to tell me I shouldn't have this baby? Watch me, right? And so I did. I had a perfectly healthy son. The pregnancy was okay. I mean, there was times I was in the hospital a lot, but I just kind of stayed mellow. I'm going to do this. I got to do whatever I got to do to bring this baby to this world. And so he arrived in that September, and that was 11 years ago. And then shortly after he was born, I guess a year after he was born, I started working at a gym again. And again, that call to be in that health and wellness environment, bringing people healing on some level. I wasn't sure exactly what it was, but that's when I kind of got louder knocks in my head that you should teach yoga. And I felt really called at that point. So I did. I got my certification. And then just like everything for everyone, once you start to take step into your dharma being your life purpose. Once you start to take steps into that, things just start to fly in. Everything just starts to happen. So there'd be books that would present themselves to me about, mindset, or how do you work with the law of attraction to manifest things in your life, and work with the universe, and how do you
Well, a lot of what
those
you're talking about there is really the law of attraction. Like everything starts to happen as you're starting to think about it, you're starting to manifest it. Things are
Yes.
becoming more of a reality for yourself, and just like, oh, it's kind of like when you go to buy a car and you're thinking about, like, I want to buy a blue Mazda, and you start seeing Mazdas everywhere. It's like the world just starts sending you messages like, okay, maybe that is the thing I should do, right?
Yes.
And like yoga and health and fitness, everything starts to come together, it sounds like.
Yeah, it really did. And then, as we always do, all of us, the self-doubt starts, right? Like you're like, oh, that's, this isn't really what I'm supposed to do. I need a real job that brings in real money. I shouldn't be an entrepreneur as a mom, all the things that or even further, I shouldn't be an entrepreneur as a sick mom was my story. Like, who am
So
I?
I'm curious then, like at this point, you're saying this to yourself, you're doubting yourself. What about people who are around you, like in your circle, your family, friends? Are they also saying the same thing, or are they encouraging you at this point?
I've been pretty lucky that I surround myself with people that have always encouraged me and believed in me. However, there are people that I love very dearly, respect, and I know they want to believe in me, but they also come from a realist point of view, right? Like, I remember teachers saying to me, you shouldn't do theater because I don't want you sick all the time.
It's almost like a protective thing that people are trying to say, well, as much as you want to do whatever it's going to be,
Yeah.
they don't want you because they think it might be a risk because of the health concerns.
Right, exactly. Or even just like, I love you, I believe in you, I think this is something you could do, but let's be honest, you don't have the energy, you don't have the capacity in your body to.
So they're trying to hit you with real
go.
facts and like, hey, this is the challenge that you're gonna have to overcome. And then it's you I'm guessing you have this epiphany or this thing like, screw you, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, pretty much. I spent the next few years just in a sales and marketing role, and loved it. I really did. It's taught me a lot. It has served me well. That's the other thing about life, is that sometimes when you pull back on the reins and you have that self-doubt and settle, some of the things that the universe brings to you because you're settling are things that are going to serve you well later in life. So I'm a firm believer in, all things happen for a reason, and all of the tools you'll ever acquire are given to you in time. But eventually I got really sick and I couldn't work anymore. And that, let me tell you, that's like the next worst thing that happened to me, because your identity's gone. Like, if I can't work, if I can't contribute, if I can't make money, then who the fuck am I, right? Like,
right.
And everyone feels that. And so I spent the last 4 years, as you said in the introduction, healing that part of myself, healing my body, really, really, really getting laser focused on work out, move the body, get the lungs working, remove the mucus from your lungs, gain some weight, be a lot healthier, and I just lived there for 4 years. And then as things happen and you start to daydream more and you start to feel like, okay, I think I could do this for other people. Again, things pour in, and I was given the opportunity to start a medication that helped convince my sick gene that it's well and it functions optimally again. And so I never cough anymore. I have all kinds of energy. My weight is the highest it's ever been, which someone listening is going to be like, what? Why does she want to gain weight? That's nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm the healthiest. I am literally the healthiest I have ever been in my entire life. And I felt like I was given a second chance at life.
And just the
And
power of like a newer type of medication that's really unlocked this whole world for you, then it sounds like.
and I'll be damned if I spend the second chance at life doing things I hate. I'm
Yeah.
not doing it. I don't care if it runs me into extreme debt in order to get this going. I was so determined to show up as the person I am meant to be and serve others to help them heal themselves, help them find another way, help them think differently, help them learn how to manifest the best life that they want to learn by doing several of the tools that I have to offer. I will not sit back and be in the passenger seat of my life anymore or be in a starring role of my life anymore. I'm going to show up as that main character energy and live just like I used to want to live when I was a child. I think over time when you become older, the world talks you down a little bit, right? And you
Yes.
stop believing in yourself. And then I think when you get close to 40, you're like, nope, that's it. I'm not doing that anymore.
Well, I do think that like you're onto something there, right? And I think that your message of what you're saying here probably also resonates with a lot of people who are in a similar spot. There's something that's happened in their life that has maybe been an obstacle that they've had to overcome. Now, the people who are the most successful are the ones who actually move past it. But there are a lot of people who quit and give up. You could have easily quit and give up
Oh, yes.
numerous times, right? And just been like, you know what? I got this chronic condition that I'll never, be able to overcome, and just stop and just like, that's it. I'm just whatever. I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop for 4 years of work, and whatever happens, happens. But it's the people who have that fire in their belly, who have that desire to live life on their terms, that are the ones who are going to ultimately find that success, find the thing that actually gets them motivated, keeps them fulfilled. And it sounds like then you've kind of unlocked that now with this, what you call a second chance, which I think is so beautiful in the way you say that.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you said that, it's unfortunate. I had several people come to my mind that I know that have cystic fibrosis or other things that have happened to them that are just like, this is my life now, and I'm just gonna roll over and take it. And it's like, it doesn't have to be. And I think that's part of why I'm here still, is to give them that inspiration and that tool. Like if you saw me, I wish I had a before and after picture of external and internally, right? Of where I was at even 4 years ago to now. It is possible. And the thing that I equate it to the most is that burning desire and that mind over matter, that thinking your way into results.
Was there something that like it helped inspire that for you beyond just the second chance? Like, was there like a book, or was there some sort of like person that said a message that just resonated with you that said, I've got to change my mindset? Like, talk more about that transformation, because I think that might be important for that person who maybe is going through that struggle, who's hearing this or seeing this and thinking, I need that thing. Like, what was it for you? Like, do you know, or can you pinpoint that?
Yeah, I think there's been a few really good books that have turned it around for me. And then really good mentors in terms of people doing what I do now that have been doing it for a long time. So
yeah, that is so critical. Mentorship is so important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So The Secret, which is a Rhonda Bryan book, and it features several different life coaches, mindset coaches, spiritual coaches. In the book, there's a movie too. The movie's great as well, if you've ever seen it. So that, I remember the first time I got that book, I remember reading it, and it said in it that illness is just a mindset thing. And I remember being like, well, that's ridiculous, because I was born with this. Like, how could I ever have thought my way to being this sick from birth, right? So
probably reading that's almost a bit of a piss off, I would guess.
Well, that's right. It was like, okay, well, this is ridiculous. Maybe I can apply this to money, relationships, or whatever. But but my health, that's just ridiculous. So that was when my son was really little. I was reading that book. And fast forward 11 years from now, I'm like, actually, that's true. Like, yes, I was born with a chronic illness. I came into the world with that chronic illness, but I didn't need to listen to how the doctors saw the chronic illness, how the world saw the chronic illness. And I know when I say this, people are like, what are you talking about? I've just been diagnosed with cancer. Like, it's stage 4 and I'm on my way out. Like, how do you get out of that in terms of the mindset thing? My story is when I started to apply the thought of health, I'm healthy, even on days when I couldn't even breathe. There were days I couldn't even get off the couch to walk the dog because I couldn't breathe. My lung function was so down. I was nearing my way to oxygen, right? I would say, I'm healthy. I am healthy. And I would just picture myself doing healthy things, skating on the rink with my son, or laughing so hard with my friends, or dancing, or things that maybe I once did and I couldn't do. I would put myself there. And I would be there in my head, sitting on the couch watching Netflix, right? Like, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy. And the more you say that, your brain doesn't even realize reality versus imagination. Your brain can't decipher what's actually really, really happening in your body versus how you want to feel or what you're thinking will be happening. So over time, and it didn't happen right away, over time, I started to heal my body because I started to tell it was healthy.
I think it goes back to the saying that, like, I've heard that the story we tell ourselves always comes true.
Absolutely. Yes. That's 100% real. And it feels like, what do you
Good or bad, right? Like, if you tell yourself like a bad story, like, hey, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I don't know anything, like, I'm so unlucky. Well, you know what? You're gonna have a lot of just bad luck come your way.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I live a life of abundance, I have money coming in, I've got this or that or whatever, I am healthy. Well, you know what? You attract that. Like, that law of attraction is so damn powerful. Like, I believe in the power of the universe delivers what it's supposed to, but you got to put it out into the universe.
Absolutely. And the other key is that you can think it, but your feelings can be different, right? Like, those days that I started to really apply that stuff, it was like, I didn't feel healthy, right? But bringing in that feeling of times when I was healthy, or times when I could participate in life and have fun and run and play and skate and whatever, picturing myself as that helped with that feeling, like, oh, I remember that. And that was so much fun, and I'm just going to be there. And so attaching that thought with that feeling, and then I decided, okay, it's one thing to say you're healthy. It's one thing to try to feel it. I'm gonna take some action here. I got off. I was actually in hospital. 2020, yeah, it would have been 2020, March, I think, yes, because I was on IV for 6 weeks, and they were talking, oxygen having to come home, possible transplant stuff, and
This is the beginning of the pandemic as well, so I'm sure it's a scary time in general, right?
Absolutely, yep. And I was in the hospital. My oxygen level was under 90. It was 88%. I was on oxygen. And I stood up and I was like, I am going to move my body for 2 minutes today. And I put on a video. I forget what video it was. Somebody was dancing. It was a song and a music video. I can't remember what it was. And I just danced. Actually, it was Footloose. And I was like, I'm dancing. I coughed. I think I barfed. I couldn't breathe, right? Like, and I was like, that's it, I'm moving. And every day from that day to this day, aside from, any time that I've been really exceptionally not feeling well, I've moved my body in some way. Walking, dancing, sweating, working out, weights, whatever it was. Yoga, for sure, yoga. So it's the thought it's the feeling, and then it's the action. That those three things are going to propel you into a different life. They're going to bring in the things that you want. So because I saw myself healthy, because I knew it was possible, my life changed when I started this new medication, this treatment. And yes, okay, I didn't necessarily personally heal myself from my cystic fibrosis. I have an aid in a medical miracle, right? Which I didn't say it was going to be solely me that did it. I just said it's going to happen, and I don't care
Right.
how.
You
I don't care
manifested it.
when. The universe is going to bring you all the things you need, regardless of what it looks like. And it's happened. It's literally happened. I had a sweat test, which is the test that they give people to decipher whether they have CF or not. I had a sweat test in September. It came back normal levels, which means that if I was being diagnosed with CF at this point, exactly right now, it would come back as negative. It would come back that I don't have it.
Wow. And
Isn't that incredible?
That is
Isn't that
incredible because
incredible?
I not only just know the story and CF, but like obviously like I've got a family connection to CF as well.
Yeah.
And so like that is crazy.
Crazy.
Wow. So you go from having this thing to starting to now have your own business. Tell me about the business. What's going on there?
Right. So applying these tools that I've learned from the book The Secret, the other two books, circling back, that I recommend, Law of Attraction by Abraham Hicks, talks a lot about this, what we're talking about, and then Think and Grow Rich by Neville Goddard is another amazing one that gives you practical tools to that, using your mind, using your imagination. The auto suggestion, like I just said, I kept saying, I'm healthy, I am healthy.
Yeah.
How lucky am I that I'm this age and I'm still here? Like, look at me, I'm healthy, right? Like, using that and applying it to my life. So really honing in on those things, I was like, this is something other people are teaching this, but other people who suffer with a chronic illness are not teaching this.
Right.
How amazing is it that I now have normal sweat chloride levels, not coming back as someone with cystic fibrosis? I want to do this for people. I want to give them these tools. I want to teach them these things, along with the yoga that I've learned, along with, other tools that I've accumulated in my life. And I think that kind of the way it goes for a lot of entrepreneurs. They go through an upset like this, or maybe it's a health thing, maybe it's a relationship thing, maybe it's something in their home, and they realize, like, I want to find another way for this, and it worked for me, and now I want to bring it to somebody else.
Right.
And so it was that, and it was tapping into, I want to do this in a way that is authentically me, which is speaking, which is, being on stages, tapping into that 3-year-old version of Melissa, that inspiring and entertaining, and I want to do that for people. So,
and isn't it funny how you just kind of have that full circle moment in a way too? Like you go back to being the person that you once were. Like I know that for me, that was the same thing, right? We talked about this before, like outside of this, is that how important that is to kind of get that sense of your inner child back. So you're helping other people from the expertise that you have of having obviously gone through and having this chronic illness. So who are you helping? Like who are you providing support to with your business?
Well, typically people who have chronic illnesses or illnesses of some sort, or medical issues. Those are the people I talk to the most. But what I've learned about, like, niching down, if anybody knows what that means like having a certain demographic that you're really targeting your voice to. When you niche down, it actually tends to open it up for more people. So yes, I'm working with people that have chronic illnesses, disabilities, newly diagnosed or forever diagnosed ago. But I'm also working with people like moms. Moms are drawn to me because they feel like there's a struggle there, right?
Yeah.
When you have a child and you were once somebody and now you're this brand new person essentially, and you're trying to figure out who you are as a mother, how to navigate that, where you're going, like that's really stressful. So a lot of people who are just moms, and then there's a lot of people that struggle with money, and that's something a lot of people are struggling with right now.
Right.
And they're trying to find ways to bring in more money, or um, just like they don't want to struggle anymore with that.
Yeah.
And so I teach them all these tools on how to actually think abundantly when money isn't even feeling like it's showing up.
And that's something that people need more now than ever, especially with all
Yeah.
the changes and the challenges within the economy too. I think it's
Yeah.
interesting the comment you have on niching down, because I've always been a firm believer that for a business owner or a business in general to really start to, find that ideal customer, they got to help the person that they were probably
Yeah.
5-10 years ago.
Yes.
That is so critical and so important, right?
That, oh my gosh, yes. That is like some of the training that I've encountered business wise. And even the training that I went through with just like the mindset stuff, they say that your target market, your person is you when you needed this the most.
That's right.
And so, yeah,
Like in a
that's
way, we're helping another version of ourselves. Like we're further ahead of somebody who doesn't have that knowledge. So you can compress time by offering the coaching, consulting, mindset help, whatever it's going to be. So
right.
as you've now kind of gone through and you're doing this journey, I am curious on the flip side, what's the hardest part from your perspective of running your own business, of being an entrepreneur? What's the biggest challenge that you kind of face with it?
I think the biggest challenge for for me in this role, and it's probably because I don't have product, right? Like I'm the product,
Mhm.
is finding the clientele and being that reputable source for them. I think another struggle I have, and you and I have talked about this, I have such a love-hate relationship with social media.
Yeah,
And love it because as a business person or business owner, entrepreneur, you're able to get your word out at not a lot of cost, right? Like you can do ads and such, but
sure.
showing up brand awareness is really, it's a freebie, and so that's amazing. But it you get, especially now, you get kind of caught in the huddle of all of that. Like there's so much going on, and social media can be like just like a stimulus overload for myself, for a lot of people. So I feel like my message gets lost in that. And
I think what
so
you're talking about is really marketing in general is really tough. Like that is the hardest part for a lot of business owners when you add
yeah,
in the social media component, especially for what you're doing as like you are the product, as you said, right? So like it's promoting yourself, your message, probably DMing people yourself and trying to pick your lane of how do you stand out in a crowded marketplace too, which is also like just the world in general, right? Like that is so tough and so difficult to do.
yes,
Like if
yes.
you could go back and like say like is there anything that you like now that you wish you knew at the beginning of the entrepreneurship
Mhm.
journey?
Um, I I give myself more grace and patience. I I think I love this about both of us. We're the oldest child, and we also
We're
are.
getting close on the revealing the age here, but yeah, we're
So yeah, we're also a lot. We together are also a lot alike because we've always been the type of people that like when you want it, you kind of want it now, right? Like you want it done. You want to be successful now, and with all these mindset tools and all these tools to work with a law of attraction, I kind of was like, oh yeah, I can do this really easy. Like look how fast I healed my body. Like let's get to it. When in reality, it took 4 years for me to be here. But with an entrepreneur endeavor, it was like, no, I'm going to do this now. So I think looking back, I knowing now what I know, I would go back to myself a year ago and say, just be patient. Just be patient. Don't be scared to make mistakes. Don't be scared to, put something out there that doesn't get a like or a comment or an enrollment or what have you. Like, this is part of the journey. And something else that I actually mentor people on is just having joy in the journey. Right. And when I wasn't having joy in the journey, nothing's happening because I'm in this like worry, fear, and doubt mentality or this lack mentality. And that's all that's bringing in. And so to be like, I created something, oh my God, it sucks, but I still created it and it was so much fun. And, or, like I'm doing a workshop right now. I'm planning a workshop, a 21-day challenge on manifesting. I called it how the fuck to manifest. That's what it's called because people think it's crazy and it's woo-woo when I want to get it out there. And
yeah.
So I'm enjoying creating the material. I'm enjoying doing the website for it. I mean, like, just find the joy in that stuff.
Yeah.
And more stuff's going to come in. And you're going to get the clientele once you start to feel good about what you're doing. So
I also think that there's an element of where you say, like, with the journey, enjoying that is so critical and so important, but also sharing the journey too.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Because if you share the journey, then there might be somebody who might be even a little bit further ahead, or who might be able to kind of say, hey, I watch out for this, or I can maybe help you in this area. Yeah. Maybe there's some collaboration, there's some partnerships, or you're going to be on their podcast or show or whatever it is. Right. Too. It's like, it is cool to like, just put yourself out there, but it can be scary too. And a lot of people are terrified for it. Like you get woke up in the middle of the night. You hear that voice that says you're going to be teaching yoga. And obviously a number of years went by.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and like trying to think how many years went by. Solid 5 years before I actually did anything with that voice. And then, and then kind of stalled and didn't do anything. So I think circling back to kind of what you said about sharing the journey, sharing your journey also feels really vulnerable, yes. Right? And people don't like to feel vulnerable.
Well, it makes them uncomfortable.
Right. They don't, well, and especially as an entrepreneur, you're trying to look like you know what you're talking about, when in reality, being an entrepreneur is so insanely parallel to being a parent. You have no freaking idea what you're doing from day to day. Yeah. There's no manual. There's nobody, there's coaches to guide you or mentors that can help you, but they don't know your story necessarily, or how you work necessarily. So it's really you in it, and when it's not working, you feel like super vulnerable, and you feel like on the verge of failure. But the only way you're ever going to fail at something is if you absolutely give up.
Yeah.
Success, we're always trying to reach for success. We're always trying to I want to be successful in this. What if you looked at success as I am freaking successful in this? You know why? Because I'm doing it. You know why? Because I built a website last year. Do you know how many websites I had the year before that? 0. Do you know how many clients I had the year before that? 0. Do you know what I did the year before that? Netflix, right? Like, I am successful because I decided to show up and do it. You're successful because you're deciding to show up and do it.
And showing up is just like, that's a win in and of itself.
That's the battle. That's
right?
The battle.
And so many people they don't show up. They give up before they even try. And I think that's the biggest regret that a lot of people have. And I think that was like, when I look back on my journey, I think it was like 2018, I started trying to build some of these side hustles and these other businesses for myself. But I asked myself this one question. I said, when I'm 100 years old and I look back, I don't want to regret anything. What would I regret not doing? And I'm like, I want to go speak on a stage in Las Vegas. I want to go and, have my own podcast. I want to coach, consult, and do all these different things. And I'm like, I'm just going to find a way to do them. Because I don't want to live a life of regret. I don't know if I'm here tomorrow. So I might as well just do what I can now today because I
right?
want to live life on my terms.
Absolutely. You get this life. We don't, there's speculation as to what happens. I mean, if you work with energy and you know about energy like I do, you know that energy doesn't just die off, it just transforms, right? So there's speculation that when we leave this world, we become a different energy, whether that's here or we come back, like whatever. But this moment, this life, that's your one. That's the one you know about for sure. So
Yeah.
you're right. Do you want to be the one on your deathbed being like, Jesus Christ, I did none of the things that I wanted to do. I didn't even try. I didn't even start.
Yeah.
Whereas you could look back and go, God, I started a ton of things. A bunch of it failed. A bunch of it succeeded. I've lived a really full life. And
And you've
that,
learned a lot along the way and hopefully had some fun too.
yeah, and that was something that I early on in my life definitely made that decision and was like, it doesn't matter what happens. Like, we all don't get out of here alive. None of us do.
None of us do.
So I knew that. I knew that probably before anyone knew that like what death was and how, how to navigate those feelings was talked about. I remember being in kindergarten and knowing that I was going to die, right? So I knew right then that I was going to live, actually, frankly, no matter how long that was going to be.
So you've got obviously the business going. You said you've got a workshop coming up. What else is coming up in your world so that people who are listening to this or seeing this can, start to understand how can they follow you and how can they connect with you too on just to be part of this journey?
Yeah. So if you're close to me, I live in the Seaforth area. I teach yoga classes in person. So
Should say that's Seaforth, Ontario for listeners.
Yeah.
And got a lot of people in the States who listen to the show as well.
Yeah. I know I'm not in the States, sorry. I can't even fly you in at this point, but one day I will.
There you go.
So live classes happening in person in different studios in the area. And then, like I said, yes, I've got a 21-day challenge all about manifesting, how the fuck to manifest.
And is that online? Is that a virtual challenge?
It will be, yes. So I am hoping to launch, I am going to launch it February 1st. I'm going to start marketing it soon with a link to register. And it is all online, and you can, you get a video, and then you get a workbook to work from. And I'm hoping to do a once a week study group where we can all come together, talk.
Great.
If you have questions, I'll answer questions and guide you in a sense. So there's that. It's like a mini class. I do have a 6-month class that you can also sign up for. And we do this. We talk about all the things I've just talked about, but we also talk about, it's great to have the knowledge, but if you're not going to apply it, if you're not going to change parts of yourself that are, resistant, or parts of yourself that you don't like about yourself, you're never really going to get to where you want to go. So we focus a lot about that too. A lot about self-image and who you are now versus who you want to be, and the gap that's in between that. So that class is called Rebirth, and it is live, and you can sign up for that on my website.
And where can they find it? What's the name of the website?
My website is Melissa Snowden Wellness.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Melissa Snowden Wellness, and Melissa Snowden. I think it's Melissa Snowden Wellness on Facebook as well. Those are the three. I have a TikTok, but not overly active there, so I just don't worry.
Haven't picked up that one yet too much. I guess you haven't pushed it so hard, but it's one of those things that it's hard when someone's an entrepreneur to be in all the channels and all places. So you heard it here, folks. So we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got the website. There's the challenge. There's the program that you can be part of as well. Some exciting things if you're ever interested in working with Melissa. I just want to say, I've taken up a lot of your time this afternoon. So I appreciate you taking the time to connect with me, be able to share your story. It's always great to catch up as well, but just you've got such an inspiring story, Melissa, about what you have not only gone through, but the well, I think is just amazing. I've never heard the story before about being woken up and hearing that voice, and then now it's led to you what you're doing now. Like, it's unreal, but I believe it because I believe in the power of manifestation and the law of attraction. You are living proof of that, my friend. So thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun, and it's just giving me, like, sometimes when you're in this, you doubt, right? Like, we all doubt ourselves. So when you get to have signs to reaffirm that you're doing the right thing, that you're on the right path, that this is where you're supposed to be, this was that for me. And so thank you. Thanks for that.
You're absolutely welcome. So everyone, this is the end of this episode for this week on the Chris Hanna Show. Stay tuned next week for another episode where we talking with another entrepreneur about their business and how they are finding ways to live life on their terms.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Chris Hanna Show. As always, the latest episodes are available to listen and subscribe to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also follow the Chris Hanna Show on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter for more resources and solutions, including blog posts, toolkits, ebooks, speaking sessions, and more. Visit chrishanna.ca today. We look forward to connecting again with you soon for another episode of the Chris Hanna Show.